Hello everyone and welcome to GED. This beautiful footage from GameSpot, courtesy to them for this footage, has just released today, and it is showing the dual wield power of magic in Wonderlands. And guys, let me start off by prefacing this video with I'm pretty sure the class they're playing right now is basically the one I'm going to be playing in the Wonderlands, is a combination of the spell shot and the Clawbringer, because you got that Wyvern companion flying around there. Looks like we're currently in a fantasy little, I don't know, fairy-esque, viney Jack and the Beanstalk type area here with wyverns and mushroom enemies. And let me tell you that the variety of enemies in this video is actually quite impressive. Just for the few that we see a lot of different named and stylized enemies, and I'm hoping that the variation on the difficulty levels of enemies is going, like right here we got suicidal exploder shrooms. Anyways, I'm hoping that the variation on the style of the enemies is going to only ever increase with the escalating difficulty levels, as it did in previous Borderlands, when you start to get those badass variants and all that stuff. But anyways, as we can see here, we're currently level 14 in this video, down there at the bottom of the middle of the screen. And if you look right below the level, we finally get a little bit of information on the spell shot here, which is the amount of stacks you can get for the spell weaving. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. The spell weaving mechanic is 5 currently. So every time you cast a spell, every time you reload, you're going to get those stacks, and you're going to get a damage buff to your spells. Now, since we're only level 14, we don't realize the full potential of these spells, which is like when the spell shot basically gets glass cannon, but we kind of see, you know, some of the mechanics of the spells in play. You get those ice meteors, you get those lightning strikes. They might be lightning meteors as well. The thing is, in this video, even though, as you notice, that there's a lot of cool looking dual wield spell action going on, really the spells themselves don't seem to hit too much harder than the guns currently. That might just be to a scaling in the video, but once we find cooler spells that chain, spells that do AoE nukes, spells that just do crazy amounts of modifiers, it'll probably start to differ there for the spell shot at least. Other classes can only use spells, which is pretty cool. There you see lightning strike. It just kind of does like a one-shot strike and then puts a dot with the lightning damage or the shock damage. We got this crossbow that's shooting basically Torg bullets that explode after reload. Let's see what else we got. We got just a basic meteor, right? I mentioned that before. The meteor spell actually, like, if you get a bunch of modifiers on the meteor, I predict that to be one of the best spells in the game, because it does AoE damage. It's a huge nuke, and it could just potentially like start blowing stuff up with crazy amounts of damage for all the classes, really. Sound is disabled, but we're basically coming in here to save a beanstalk with the fairy godmother there. This looks like a little mini boss, the Bitter Bloom. You got lots and lots of different enemies just running around all over the screen. Like, this area is actually pretty big and wide open. You know, you can actually see the skybox and everything and all those platforms up there. So enemies are just literally running underneath you, running above you in all these platforms, and it's kind of wicked. I do love this crossbow. Exploding bullets are always fun. And one of the things I believe to be the case with this video is that since the spell shot gets a lot of damage to their guns early in their skill tree, that's probably why we're seeing that the gun itself with those 5 spell stacks is doing more damage than the spells themselves, even though this is technically a dual wielding spell video. Just doing a little collection of key items here. You can kind of see the stats pop up every now and again on items. A lot of stuff just is flat increase to damage, like armor and jewelry and stuff like that. it'll say like a flat increase to spell shot or clawbringer or whatever class, just percentile damage boost. And there we got the old punch father giving us a nice little quest. I'm really hyped for this game now. Like, this video is just reinitializing that hype, and we only got like what, 2 days before we get in there and we start wrecking havoc in the Borderlands. I'm sorry, the Wonderlands. It's so hard to switch that moniker up from B to W, whatever. Here we get, secret dice. The loot dice, I'm assuming people are going to make guides eventually on all the dice location, because you know that those dice are very important to getting player power, I guess, because they give you the extra luck chance on weapon rolls, get extra bonus goodies with your luck. And here we encounter a massive amount of enemies in this very small room. We have a spell switched up to Ice Shot, and now we have the Channeled Lightning ability on one of our skills. The Channeled Lightning skill, unless it has either a crazy amount of single ooh, that was 1100 damage on the ice crit. The Channeled Lightning right here, we see in it, unless it is like chaining to other enemies or doing massive amounts of single target damage, I don't foresee that one being too widely used, just because you're foregoing your gun damage on most classes just to channel it. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of modifiers we can get on the Channeled Lightning ability. Later in this video, we will see that some skills and spells do have chaining mechanics, which are actually amazingly powerful. I somewhat referenced this spell ability to basically become, in late game, to become like a siren, kind of like in Borderlands 3 when we saw Amara, a AoE fist chaining mechanic that once you get those mods on your grenades and on your spells, eventually they'll start being very much more beneficial to every class, not just the spell shot. A lot of classes, like see in this small room, if you had like a Spore Warden and you shot his bow, it would ricochet and just start decimating all these enemies. But the spells themselves at this particular time, look at this. Ooh, that was a lot to take in. If you want to go back and pause the video, you can. It's basically showing a lot of the spell modifiers that affect every spell, right? Cooldown, damage, different stuff that can be put onto spells. Yeah, that's just not pumping out the amount of damage you would expect a spell to do, but I mean, it is what it is, right? It's so early in this video that we definitely have not seen how much they can scale. Sorry there, guys, my kid's running in the room while I'm trying to look at this video. Anyways, here we see a Malevolent Bloom, which is kind of a punchy, destroy your face type of enemy, and there we go down due to a barrel exploding. Brick is reviving us, so that's pretty cool. The NPCs still do their revive mechanic. And this room is very chaotic. Could you imagine when we get into Chaos Dungeons and this stuff just goes wild with 4 players and in tiny spaces with monsters just running around and all these mechanics going off? And then you lose your connection to Shift right there. Once you lose your connection to Shift, you basically have to uninstall the game. Joking. Yeah, I'm just looking at all the cool explosions in this game. Brings back those memories of Borderlands 3. And God, I'm ready. Are you guys ready? We're ready to get into this. Let's just give it a moment of silence here, and we'll watch some carnage. Okay, no carnage occurred. Basically just looking at patterns. Customizable skins. I don't know how everybody feels about customizable skins, but I felt like all the Borderlands games really have a fun little aspect to them in their customization. And here, down at the bottom of that spell, if you want to go back and look at it, down at the bottom there's a channeled cast where it bounces between foes. And I feel like for most spells, that's kind of what you're going to be looking for, is that AoE mechanic used as a nuke. Unless you're bossing, like, then you want big buku single target damage spells. But I feel like in general in Borderlands you're multi-fighting enemies more than you're killing one foe in general. So multi spells are basically the way you go. And there you can see it kind of bounce. There was nothing to chain to it. We'll get another cast here soon. Here it goes. And yeah, there's the bounce. Look at that. That is beautiful. I love to see that. So you either go big AoE spells or chaining spells, and it is win. This boss, the Parasite, it's got the typical 3 health bar mechanic. So you got the shield, the health bar, and then looks to be like the armor health bar. The new, basically, it replaced radiation, and it's now bone/armor, which is gonna be interesting, trying to find weapons, spells, abilities that are gonna counter all of these different variations of quote unquote armor for all the mobs. Oh, that gun is wrecking with those sticky bombs. Look at that damage. Boom. And this is only level 15. Again, not too high in the game, just showing some amazing content. Here we go with that chain lightning. Unfortunately, pulls away before we see the full effect of the chain lightning bounce there. And these zombie archers, they're a new mob we've seen. We've seen the skeleton archers, but now apparently zombie archers. Before, we saw what? We saw wyverns, we saw cyclopses, we saw exploding shrooms, we saw mini shrooms, we saw an artillery shroom, we saw a bruiser shroom that runs up and just basically punches you in the face. There's also a variant of kind of like a gunner shroom. I forget what it's called. And man, these skeleton archers are just laying waste to this guy right here. Amazingly crappy when you get that many ranged mobs just throwing stuff at you. And here we see the Parasite is down to the bone armor health bar. But we're still going through it pretty well. There's only going to be percentage modifiers. So, like in the higher difficulties, you're going to be doing, instead of like 100% damage to all armor types, you're going to be doing like 80% or whatever, if you don't have the correct modifier on your gun. So for example, if you have a blue shield, you need a shock weapon to do 120% damage, say, instead of like a flame-based weapon that would only do 80% damage. Typical Borderlands stuff, but just in case you didn't know what Borderlands is all about. And he's finally unleashing another barrage of spells here. Didn't do too much again, because wrong damage type. The slam attack is back, and you can do it constantly just by jumping now. You don't have to be at a heightened location. That's pretty cool. I feel like as a spellcaster, you're not going to be doing that in the enemy's face. Kind of dangerous, but is what it is. And there, the Parasite is finally defeated. And that pretty much wraps up this video. Again, I'm super excited. Like, all the modifiers on the guns, the weapons, the armor. We have yet to see what kind of modifiers are going to truly change up class play based on enchantments, which are basically the new replacement for the modifiers on weapons that we had in Borderlands 3. So, all in all, this is an exciting video to have so close to release, and I hope to see you guys in the Wonderlands. If you got any comments or questions about what we saw here, feel free to drop it down below.